In the previous episode, it was revealed that the real betrayer of Jesus was not the disciple Judas, but rather a son of a Pharisee named Judas. In fact, many researchers of the Bible have discovered that among the 12 disciples of Jesus, only Judas was a Jewish scholar who could read and calculate finances. Among these 12 disciples, Judas was the one whom Jesus favored the most. Because Judas understood the messages that Jesus wanted to convey, unlike the other 11 disciples who were deeply influenced by Judaism. Only Judas, being a scholar himself and constantly contemplating and discussing matters, understood Jesus' teachings. Among the 12 disciples, none of them liked Judas, and each one was jealous of him. When this event occurred, that is, after Jesus was crucified, Judas, the disciple, also disappeared. The other disciples took advantage of the situation and shifted the blame onto Judas, saying that he felt guilty and committed suicide. In reality, the one who truly betrayed Jesus, the son of the Pharisee, Judas, did indeed hang himself. According to the book, Talmud Jmmanuel, the disciple Judas actually disappeared and went into hiding along with Jesus. After the death of Jesus' father, he and his family migrated northward. They traveled through many countries in the Middle East and eventually reached India. In a previous episode, it was mentioned that Jesus received education in India during his youth, so he was familiar with India and had many friends there. They continued their migration towards India, but encountered persecution along the way due to the contradiction between Jesus' teachings and the local superstitions. Jesus had prophesied that in the future, a new religion would emerge and persecute them, referring to Islam. Nevertheless, they continued their journey and eventually arrived in the northwestern part of India. In that region of northwestern India, Jesus' mother passed away, and they buried her locally. If you find a small town called Mari on a map of India, the spelling of the place is Mari, not Mary. The local people also know a legend that Jesus' mother, Mary, was buried there. If you visit that place, you may find Mary's tomb, and this legend is widely circulated in the local area. If you have the opportunity, you can also go to India to explore it firsthand. They continued their migration eastward and reached the border of India and Afghanistan. Jesus and his family, including his siblings, as well as his disciple Judas, settled there and continued their lives. Jesus himself continued to teach the local people. It is said that during that time, when Jesus was around 45 years old, he got married and had many children. He passed away at around 115 years old. Jesus continued to teach the people there, while his disciple Judas continued to document everything. He taught until Judas himself passed away at around 90 years old. The responsibility of their work was then passed on to Jesus' eldest son, who was entrusted with recording everything Jesus taught until Jesus himself passed away. Jesus was buried locally, and then his eldest son led the entire family. By that time, Jesus already had many children, although I'm not sure of the exact number. These children went on to have more descendants, so the family grew in numbers. Jesus' eldest son led the entire family to Jerusalem. Of course, these events were kept secret. Now, near the border of India and Afghanistan, there is a small town where Jesus' tomb is located, known to the locals. Some people have visited and taken photographs of the tomb. It used to be open to the public, but now it is closed and entry is prohibited. The tomb is like a stone coffin with a stone slab at the foot. This stone slab is engraved with only 2 footprints. What sets these footprints apart is a depression in the middle, with a depression on both the left and right foot. This is because when Jesus was nailed to the cross, the nails were driven into the sides and middle of his feet. Someone took a photograph of this and it was published in magazines and newspapers. If you search Jesus in India online, you should be able to find relevant information. However, this tomb is now off limits to anyone approaching it. In summary, after Jesus' eldest son led the entire family to Jerusalem, they diligently recorded Jesus' teachings on parchment for several decades. He was buried in the tomb where Jesus was crucified. In reality, the specific location was lost long ago. Because it has been around 100 years, which is a significant amount of time. Actually, no one knows the exact details. I speculate that perhaps Jesus' eldest son was guided by extraterrestrials to find this tomb and then hid the scrolls inside the tomb. The tomb remained hidden, and no one knew about it. It wasn't until the 1970s when the Pleiadians guided Billy Meier and another Eastern Orthodox priest who understood ancient languages. These two individuals were guided to the earliest tomb of Jesus, and Billy Meier, upon entering the tomb, discovered the scrolls. The Pleiadians guided the Eastern Orthodox priest, Isa Rashid, to translate the scrolls into German since Billy only knew German and didn't understand English or ancient languages. Because he believed that if anyone knew about this information, his life would be in danger. Then, Rashid completed the translation and realized that the scrolls were written in Aramaic, which he translated into German, totaling 36 lessons. He then mailed the translated material to Billy Meier because, at that time, Billy Meier resided in Switzerland while Rashid lived in the Middle East, such as Jerusalem. Rashid was extremely afraid and dared not continue the translation. He hid the scrolls within the walls of his own house. But it's such a pity. He discovered these ancient artifacts, and this matter became known. So, I guess he wanted to share it with others. Even though he is a scholar, Rashid sometimes encounters ancient texts that he himself doesn't understand. So, he seeks advice from other scholars or experts. When he consults them, they would naturally inquire about how he came across these words or where he found them. Slowly, this information spreads, and it turns out that he found ancient artifacts. Finding ancient artifacts in the Middle East is a significant event because the government would definitely get involved. Moreover, it is illegal for anyone to privately possess such artifacts. They must be handed over to the government. So, Rashid becomes worried because he is afraid that someone might assassinate him, so he flees to a refugee camp in Lebanon. He hides the ancient scrolls in his house. If you pay attention to that history, it should be around the 1970s when Israel suddenly attacked that refugee camp for no reason and killed many people. This incident caused a lot of public outrage. During that operation, the Israeli army destroyed Rashid's house completely, and his entire family was killed. Rashid lost his life, and as for the scrolls, no one knows where they ended up. It's possible that extraterrestrials might have found them, but I don't have any information on that. Time has come for now. We will continue discussing Talmud Jmmanuel in the next episode. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching.